Another wonderful Thursday morning right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. This is Dominion Sport. We're taking to the junior sport around the goal from the local front to the European scene. We'll let you know how things are panned out in the world of sport. I am Paul Abe Toluwanimi, and I'm not alone in the studio this wonderful evening. I have this wonderful morning. I have Samson Balogun, the man with unbiased analysis and undiluted reports, ready to give you updates around the world of sport this wonderful morning. Top of the morning to you, Samson Balogun. How are you feeling this wonderful morning?
Well, a beautiful morning to you, Toluwanimi. It's really nice and exciting to be here to talk sport. This is what we do, bring you unbiased analysis and undiluted process. So thank you for joining us. Fasten your seatbelt. There's a lot to talk about on the show today.
All right, definitely. There's a lot to talk about on the show today. Yesterday, we informed you that Shooting Stars would be welcoming the defending champions, Remo Stars, at the Lakon Salami Stadium, the Southwest Derby, and that ended in victory for Shooting Stars. Also, the rescheduled fixtures for Rivers United and Kano Pillars also ended in victory for coach Finidi George Boys. The game ended 1-0 despite Rivers United picking up a red card in that game. Yesterday, Shooting Stars defeated defending champions Remo Stars 1-0 in the rescheduled Southwest Derby at the Lakon Salami Stadium in Ibadan. Ayodele clinical finish is fourth of the MPFL season, gave them the edge in a match full of rivalry, and Remo Stars controlled possession after half-time and pressed in the closing stages. But the home defense stood solidly through a 5 added minute. The win avenged last season 1-0 loss to the same ground and lifted Shooting Stars to 5th place with 23 points after match week 15. There you have on the screen. Samson Balogun was in the stadium yesterday, and he's going to have given us a massive report on how that game, panned out for both teams, the Shooting Stars and also Remo Stars.
Well, it was an encounter, just like we said before the show. It was an encounter, a make or break encounter for both teams. And for Shooting Stars, they needed all 3 points, including Remo Stars. They also needed to win some of these games. But the truth of the matter is, even Shooting Stars, just like I predicted, were two teams struggling to score goals. And it was evident in how the game panned out yesterday. Shooting Stars could not convert more than that one chance they were able to score. In fact, in the second half, you could barely tell if they were on the field of play attacking-wise. And for Remo Stars too, it was more or less like ambiguous football, kicking the ball into the opposition box, but there is no clear-cut chance created. Just put the ball in the box. I mean, that's a far cry from what Remo Stars used to be. Playing beautiful, sexy football that would, you would want to watch. Once upon a time, they were the darling team, playing the attractive football. Again, Daniel Ogumbo was missing from the sidelines. That tells a story that really needs clarification from the management of Remo Stars. What exactly is going on?
What's going on?
Behind closed doors, Daniel Ogumbo was torn. And from some corners, some fans of Shooting Stars were actually, clamoring for what was obvious. It's now becoming more and more of a recurrent issue for Shooting Stars that when they score one goal, it becomes tense in the last 20 minutes of the game. You don't even know if they are going to win the game or they are going to eventually concede. And, sometimes fans would love you to bury the game as early as the first half, or maybe somehow early in the second half you are sure of victory. But unfortunately, that did not happen for Shooting Stars. And that is one of the things the coach should really be looking at. Yes, we understand the fact that sometimes you really cannot determine what happens. Situations, the technical ability of the other team, the opposing team, and the tactical input of the opposing coach might just prove a little bit too difficult for you to crack or understand. These things do happen, but then it is becoming more and more of an issue that is, that has been coming up and up again. Don't forget that their last few home games has either ended in a draw or maybe a 1-0 victory. So it's not really clear. Just like against Katsina United, where they narrowly won by a long goal because of Ayodele Ismail. It's still the same guy yesterday who put in his all. In fact, that could have ended up being a situation where he copes, a career-ending injury.
Yeah,
because it was more or less like he sacrificed himself just to put the ball at the back of the net, and that is not the first time he has done that this season. And he goes silent a little bit, and then boom, he has scored a goal. The last home game too, against El Academy Warriors, he got the goal. It was the difference between the two teams. Out of nowhere, out of nothing, he was able to get a goal for Shooting Stars. So the coach should look at how they can entertain more and how they can keep the ball more. I think that will actually subject the opposition to fretting on the field of play or maybe run after the ball. And when they get tired, you see, when you play simple football, you pass the ball around, the goal will come, provided you are putting the ball in the right places. I mean, you can't just keep playing at the back and expect to score goals. It doesn't happen. So you don't play diagonal passes, you play forward passes, and then you play with the nearest man. That simplifies the job of the midfielders. You don't have to do too. You see, excessive thinking only happens when you want to do too much. You don't force play. Let it come naturally. So that was missing, evidently missing for Shooting Stars in the second half of the game yesterday. I mean, they were found wanting. At a point in the last 30 minutes, they considered possession to Remo Stars. Yes, I think I once mentioned it that I was speaking to Coach Nuruddin Awero. I think that was about 2 games away from now, after the game against Katsina United, and he said, look, when we stop playing, it's also a tactics from us to invite the opponent and then we hit them on the counter. But then these things do not happen like that, especially against teams. You are playing against the defending champions. No matter how bad they are now as a team, they still have some of the players that played with them last season. So you cannot risk some of these things with them. But then overall, it was massive, 3 points in the bag, and that pushes them a little bit further on the log. And one thing is clear: get as many points as possible, especially at this stage of the season. That time will come that points will be very scarce for every team, not just Shooting Stars. Even the table toppers will struggle to find points. So get as many points as possible now. And I think in the last 2 games, they have been able to get 6 points. That is really massive. And I want to believe they are on another run of maybe a 5-6 game momentum, building another momentum. So that should work for them.
All right. Before we move on to the game between Rivers and Kano Pillars, let's talk about Remo Stars' situation at this point in time. There's so much surrounding them. Just yesterday, just like you said now this morning, Daniel Ogumedede was not part of the team, and there are no report that the camp of the Super Eagles, is yet open, not yet. So what's the reason why we don't have a certain Daniel Ogumedede, on the side of Remo Stars, and also situation surrounding them this season? What exactly, is wrong with them this season?
Well, I think I will answer from this angle. I do not work with Remo Stars, not as their media officer or technical director, or maybe the sporting director, but as a pundit, as the football enthusiast. I think the management of Remo Stars really owes the people an explanation. I mean, there should be a press release about what is going on. The chief coach of the team is evidently and conspicuously missing on the sideline. That tells a story. Where is Ibejebu to just about how many minutes? Kenneth to here should take less than an hour if there's no traffic. So I don't see a reason why Daniel Ogumedede is not here. And it was said to be last month. It was said to be on a coaching course in Abuja, and he posted by himself on his Facebook page that was done with the coaching course, which we all were glad that was going to come back to the team. But right now, as we saw yesterday, it was clear he wasn't on the sideline. What happened to him? I don't think so, and I'm not sure he's been suspended for any reason. He has no suspension to serve. So I think there's something else going on within the team. Probably, just like some players had issues with the team. Don't forget Nduka Junior. Don't forget Kayode Bankole. All through last season, Kayode Bankole probably kept about 5 or 6 games. He was on the bench all through, and he was the best goalkeeper in the team, but he was subjected to be on the bench because there were rumors that he tried to force his move out of the team. These things do happen. Maybe the coach also wants to leave. Maybe the management wants the coach to leave. Maybe they have issues to iron out or to settle. But whatever the situation is, this is affecting the football club. And will Remo Stars play on the continent next season? It's a big question. Don't forget, I've always clamored for consistency. I mean, if you play there this season, play there next season, another season, and you still have a huge chunk of the number of players that played the last 2 seasons, gives you experience, gives you leverage against teams that are coming consistently. But if you present Abia Warriors today, Remo Stars tomorrow, Shooting Stars the next one, I mean, what Rivers United is facing is what we'll continue to face, because each time you present a new team, you are taking rookies to go and play in a competition, which is way beyond what they are used to. If you check that Rivers United team, I don't think at least over 50, let me say about 60% of them have never played on the continent.
I agree.
Some of them have never played outside Nigeria. And they have been thrown straight into the fray to play teams like Pyramids, to play teams like RS Bakken. I mean, that's huge. So no matter what, there was a time someone asked Adeleye, I think that should be 2005 under 17 World Cup. I think under 17 or under 20, and they were asking Adeleye what happened between himself and Messi. That should be under 20. He had the likes of Taiwo and the likes.
Yes, Mikel,
so John Obi Mikel. So they asked him what transpired between Lionel and Messi. He said within himself he knew the game started and he was quite sure of how to handle Lionel Messi. But the moment he got past him, he couldn't explain because it was just there. You see, one of the things that will happen to you is your concentration will be divided. You are seeing people you have never seen before. You have seen players you have never met before, and you are playing in a stadium that you have never been before. So all that put together. And don't forget that when you play outside the country, especially in countries like Morocco, Tunisia, and some other places, they come out in their numbers to watch the football game. The noise alone can distract players. And all this. I was talking to someone yesterday and at the stadium, and someone said, Mamelodi Sundowns offered Remo Stars to play their 2 games in South Africa. Because they knew that you are not playing at your stadium. So why play in Nigeria when you can play in South Africa? We will offer to pay you whatever it is the cost will be. Because they know what it means to play the first and second leg on their home turf. They know how much they are going to make. That's business. But then, to save the integrity of the Nigerian league, Kunle Shoname declined the offer and said, look, even if you are not playing at a stadium, you are playing you are still going to come to Nigeria because it also encourages our own economy here. So all that, there are things we should be looking at. For teams to perform consistently on the continent, we have to be consistent about teams that play. I mean, it can be that, you played Confederations Cup this season and you are playing Champions League the next season. Yes, there's a slight difference, but they are still the same teams qualifying for this competition. So let's see how some of these teams can, maybe do better. The league can be refined in such a way that players would love to play in the Nigerian league, and then they are well remunerated, and the league can continue to grow. All
right, that's the update coming through from the game between Shooting Stars Football Club against the defending champions Remo Stars. Ismaila Ayodele giving all 3 points to Shooting Stars yesterday at the Lakon Salami Stadium. Let's move away from that. Let's look at the game between Rivers United and Kano Pillars. That one ended still in favor of coach Finidi George Boys picking up that victory despite a red card in that game. Samson Balogun, yet again, there's Kano Pillars struggling. Looks like they're getting back, but still struggling. And Rivers United picking up all 3 points. For you, what's it looking like for Rivers United in the MPFL? This season, we know there's so much struggle when it comes to the CAF Champions League football, but it looks like they're churning out results in the MPFL, no matter what the situation is in the CAF Champions League.
You see, for Rivers United, I just mentioned the crisis. The crisis is not really about what happens in the league. The crisis is about the experience they needed and the resources they needed to play on the continent. Unfortunately, it's not there. And I want to believe that we now can start adjusting to the new reality. For Rivers United, it's never about how they would perform in the league. They finished second last season, just a few points behind Remo Stars, who were the champions. And it's always been clear. The last 10 years, you would see Rivers United always one way or the other popping in and out of the top 4, and they have been a little bit consistent about that. So it's not about their performance in the league. It's a different thing. Playing in the league and, of course, playing away. So I want to believe that for Rivers United, they are still going to get better results in the league. They are still going to get the opportunity to express themselves more in the league. But for Kano Pillars, I think, I think they are done for. I think it's over for Kano Pillars. I don't see them getting out of this trouble easily.
All right, that's the update coming through from the Rivers United game and the Kano Pillars. We'll be watching the highlight between our Shooting Stars and Remo Stars. When we are back, we'll be talking about the match day 2 in the NWFL happening right here. We'll be back to give you more updates. Stay connected. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, there you have it, the beautiful game of football between Shooting Stars and defending champions Remo Stars, giving us that wonderful one. Victory for Shooting Stars Football Club. Let's move away from that. Let's look at the NWFL yesterday, match day 2. Fantastic result for some teams. There you have it on the screen. Ekiti Queens picked up 1 point on their own turf against Adamawa Queens. Ibom Angel, just like Samson Balogun said yesterday, it's going to be a difficult patch for the new team, Paysetter Queens of Ibadan. Also, we have Edo Queens against Atlant Queens. The game ended in victory for Edo Queens, 1-0. Rivers Angels against Niger Ratels. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Rivers Angel in the Group A of match day 2 of the NWF. Also in Group B, we have FC Robo Queens, the Demolition Conference Queens, 4-0. Remo Stars are picking up the victory against Abia Angels. They say if the men cannot do it, maybe we should be able to pick up all 3 points right there, which they did. Also, Delta Queens ended that one with Sunshine Queens, a goalless game. Also, we have Oshun Babes against Ayud Damer Queens. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Oshun Babes, and also Danas Ladies against Nasarawa Amazons. The game ended goalless. Something about the game. There you have it. The match week 2 game of the NWFL. Group A and Group B done and dusted.
Well, I think the usual suspects, they were able to get the points as predicted. If you check for Ekiti Queens, Adamawa Queens that defeated the Oluyole Ladies, who I fondly condemned the Oluyole Ladies, that is the Paysetter Queens. Adamawa Queens defeated them at home. Adamawa was able to get a draw away in Ekiti. And Paysetter Queens eventually lost to Ibom Angels as predicted. Ibom Angels, they have well-experienced, vast players, quality players in their team, and you really cannot rule out the possibility of them getting all 3 points, and it did happen. Edo Queens, one of the biggest teams in the league, won against Atlant Queens, and also Rivers Angels. I mean, they are usually in the top 4, and that for me is not far-fetched. And most importantly, another notable victory was Remo Stars Ladies against Abia Angels. I mean, that a 1-0 victory, quite slim, but at least they got the job done. Got all 3 points. So those are the things you will be looking out for. Sometimes the league is still very, very fresh. Some of these players are still getting acclimatized to what the rigors and the tempo of the league would look like this season. And as soon as they get it, get their acts right, you will definitely understand. And for some teams who usually they train around the clock, FC Robo, they are more or less like one of the go-to teams when it comes to selecting players for the national team. And you saw that resounding victory over Confluence Queens of Kogi. I mean, that says a lot about how prepared they are for this season. And I'll really be watching out for them and see what exactly they can do come the end of the season.
All right, those are the results right there in the NWFL. We'll be giving you more update as the games pan out right there in the NWFL. Let's move away from that. Let's talk European football swiftly. Arsenal picked up the victory yesterday, much needed win for them, and something Balogun has been saying it since the beginning of the season. If Arsenal were to win the league, one thing they must focus on is play teams that made it difficult for you over the last 3 seasons and see how you can pick up victory against them. There you have on the screen Merino getting a goal, and also Bukayo Saka coming on to get the goal for Arsenal. Moving away from that, let's look at more results swiftly in the Premier League. On the screen, well displayed. Also, we saw fantastic games yesterday within these teams. And trust me, Aston Villa also against Brighton of Albion. The game ended 4-3. Oli Watkins back in the score sheet for Aston Villa. Also, you have Crystal Palace, Munoz getting that one against Burnley, 1-0. There you have it. Also, Liverpool also getting up a victory, a draw late on in that game, 1-1. Mukiele getting an on goal, thinking it was fair and weeds, finally getting a goal in the Premier League, but that one, was churned out for Mukiele. Also, Chelsea getting defeated by Leeds United, 3-1. Still to come today, it's going to be Manchester United and West Ham. But before we go away from that, let's look at the game yesterday. Samson Balogun, let's talk about Gunners quickly. The game ended in victory for them against Brentford United. You know how Brentford has been a difficult side for Arsenal to go home or away to pick up victory, but they were able to do this one yesterday, 2-0. Wonderful victory for them, 3 points on the back.
You see, for Arsenal Football Club, they have one thing I'm sure Mikel Arteta has been able to do so far this season. For the last 2 seasons, he had always been able to, he was prioritizing good football ahead of getting the results. And this season so far, what I have noticed is that when he plays against some of the teams who are termed or tagged as the teams that gives you problems, especially that disrupt your point momentum, he has been able to jettison good football and then try as much as well, just get the goals, let's win these games. And that is exactly why they are where they are right now. And the best thing a great team can do is to get results at all costs, regardless of what it will cost to get all 3 points. And a good team will play good football, entertain the fans, and then maybe draw or maybe lose eventually and go. But for a great team, just grind out results. No matter how difficult the terrain is, get the results, get all 3 points. And Arsenal has been able to position themselves in that realm so far this season. We have seen them play against teams that usually will take points off them. If eventually they might end up in a defeat or a draw. But this season they have been able. Teams like Brentford will definitely give you issues, and they have survived some of these teams, including Bournemouth and some other teams. So that tells you how serious Mikel Arteta is in eventually winning the elusive English Premier League title for the team. So let's see if by the end of the season, I said something when the season started. If he continues with this pace until the 1st of January, I mean, I'm definitely going to come here and tell you that Arteta is a title contender. Arsenal is a title contender. But for now, they're still one of the title pretenders we have, just like Chelsea. So for me, let's just keep watching how things unfold in the EPL. But getting results against teams like Brentford says something for Arsenal this season.
All right, and let me inform you also that Mosquera also picked up an injury in that game. We have Saliba. We have Gabriel Magalhaes also on the bench with injuries for the Gunners. They still have some more game to play before the end of the year 2025. Let's move from that. Let's talk about Chelsea.
It's exactly what happened, yesterday against Leeds United. Leeds United for me this season, they are energetic, they are tireless, they are usually everywhere on the field of play. They fight for every ball, every loose ball matters to them. And then you are playing that team and you are rotating all the members of the squad except for a few of them. I mean, why would you play Chalobah as a right back, for crying out loud? Why Badiashile and Tosin Adarabioyo at the same time on the field of play, playing some players out of position? Jamie Gittins, yes, we would understand you want Garnacho to rest. And why would you need a playmaker on the field of play. So must you play João Pedro, who originally should play as a striker in the playmaking position? Estival was isolated for some time. There were no quality pass coming from board. Yes, we understand Moise Caicedo is suspended, but Andre Santos is there. Put a creative midfielder like Bononote in that team yesterday, probably they would have actually gotten something out of it. But if you look at how the team was set up, the first 5 minutes I knew they were going to fail because they were set up to fail. One, there was no creativity except for Enzo, who is more or less like a deep lying playmaker in the midfield. There's no creativity from anywhere. And those who are meant to be creative in that team, they are probably on the bench or somewhere in the position where they cannot really contribute. I mean, at a point, Estival had to come to the midfield. Eventually, he had to bring in some players, but it was too late. Pedro Neto was a substitute, got a goal. If he had started the game, probably it would have been a different ballgame. Yes, we understand you want to play different players in the team, but the cohesion in the team must not be sacrificed because you want to satisfy some players, because you want to play every player in the team. They can come in batches. 3 play today, the remaining 3 play the next day, but overhauling the team and then changing some positions for some players really does not. Yes, he mentioned it before now, that especially after the game against Arsenal, said he wasn't sure if Reece James was going to be a starter in the game against Leeds United. We understand, but what happened to Malo Gusto? These are things you should look at. You don't just make. I know for now we'll be licking his wounds and biting his tongues right now because it was a stupid decision to make as a coach.
That's the word.
The fans are out there. It's not about you anymore. It's about the people out there. I'm not talking about punters. I'm not talking about the white paper boys. I'm talking about the fans who genuinely paid to watch the game. And they came to the stadium and all you could do is to parade players and there was no technical input of any sort in the team. It's just, I was talking to someone yesterday. I've seen how shallow his thinking can be as a coach. it's just, if you look at the substitutions in the last 10 games, you will realize it's one winger for a winger, a midfielder for a midfielder, a defender for a defender. There's no technicality in such substitution. We all know that when a winger comes in for another winger, it's definitely going to take off from where he's come. Yeah. When a midfielder comes in, a like-for-like replacement, he comes in and does what that person has been doing, or maybe do better. So there's no technicality in his substitution. It has always been like that.
But what's went wrong from Barcelona to Arsenal?
The same team. This team is started against Leeds against Arsenal. What do you think? The same team. This team is started against Leeds against Arsenal. What do you think the result will be? So it's for me. I think it is sheer stupidity from the coach. That shouldn't have happened. If you want to rotate your squad, there are ways to do it.
Yeah,
a few players can come in and out of the team. Yeah. But playing disrupting the flow of play in defense. The only thing of play in defense. The only thing that happened that was correct in the defense. They are still, until the end of the match, I don't think he made more than 5 passes beyond the midfield line. They were just passes to the midfield line. They were just passes to Tosin Adarabioyo or maybe to Marco Correa and then back to the goalkeeper. I mean, how do you play a game like that and you expect to win? These people are not, they also get paid. So they want to make a statement. I mean, claiming the scalp of the big teams is what they want to do, because that spurs them on, puts them in a good stead, to actually play the next game and then be in high spirit. And for me, I think Leeds United, they have been able to do that against Chelsea. If they play another big team after Chelsea, they would want to show that again. But Chelsea really fumbled. Shouldn't have happened like that. I'm not saying you cannot lose games. But if you lose games in a way that, your fans will understand why you lost that game. It is understandable. But that being the nonsense the coach put together, no tactical display, nothing, no input of a coach in that game.
Are you saying the players are not good quality for Chelsea?
I'm not saying they are not good quality for Chelsea. I'm just saying that all of them cannot play together at the same time. The reason why you have the starting 11 and you have some fringe players in the team is, even if you have players in the team even if you have every player being 100%, right, in terms of quality, some of them will not even sit on the bench. By the end of the season, they are telling you want to go play where they want to. So the players you can keep on the bench permanently are the ones who know by themselves that yes, the person on the field of play is way better. So or maybe somehow better than I am, or maybe I'm currently not informed and is informed. There is a level of understanding to this. But as it stands, Chelsea still has a few quality players in that team that they have not really been playing over time. But for me, in the last few, the reason Tosin Adarabioyo found himself on the bench in the first place was because he made too many mistakes. Which was what happened yesterday. And then you are going to play Tosin, and then you put another Badiashile, another calamity right beside him. And then you did not end there. Chalobah, who was already maintaining his champion, who was already being touted as one of the best defenders in the Chelsea team, was shifted to play at right back, only for him to go there and fumble. That's not his fault. It's the coach that has actually done something very wrong to the player, because people would expect him to take the ball or maybe make a run and then give the ball to. He was definitely good. He's not a runner, so automatically he's definitely going to turn back and give the ball to the next. So how do you attack when you are passing the ball back to the defender or maybe the goalkeeper? So I would want to blame the coach for the mistake. I don't want to push any blame to the players because they gave it their all. When Pedro Neto came on board, one way or the other, they got a goal. If they had maintained that same momentum, if they had players like Cole Palmer on the field of play, probably things would have changed earlier than that. But unfortunately, the coach did what he knows how to do best, which is to rotate the team and then get bad results. They know how to rob Peter and pay Paul. Against Arsenal, they did well. Against Barcelona, they did well. But then they gave all the 3 points they won against some of the big teams and gave it back to Leeds United.
Amazing. All right, let's talk about Liverpool quickly. Yesterday, yet again, Ancelotti, not making the home of Anfield a fortress at this point in time. And Sami Balogun made a statement saying there are some teams that we want to show big teams that we can also compete. Sunderland have done that perfectly this season. Talk to me about that game quickly. Not a game that all Liverpool fans watching us right now would want to see or want to hear, but Sami Balogun is not still ticking for Liverpool. Mo Salah is not starting games, it's coming in now. You look at the formation setup, it's not working yet again for Liverpool.
You see, the coach is lost. 3 minutes they were getting
and
winning
they
goals
were
at that time. It was evident that the team was heading to a particular place that they would not understand. So the coach has taken them to where they don't know right now. They don't understand where they are, but we saw it.
We saw it coming.
When he came on board as a coach,
Yeah.
one thing he did that I credit him for, I think I said it on this show, that he maintained the standard of jogging club.
You said that.
It did not change too much in the team. He was playing the jogging club way, and he won the title.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was going to happen one day, that he was going to bring in his own ideas. I mean, this is the APL. You don't expect drastic change to instantly work for you. There are things you do. You ease these players into your, into your own system and how to play. But unfortunately, I think just after the season ended, they won the league. He wanted to take control and be in charge.
He requested
for so many transfers. Many players came on board, and yes, to be honest and frank, majority of the players that came on board, they are top quality players. Until today, people call Florian Wirtz, a failure. I don't see a player like that. I see Florian Wirtz to be a player that is lost in the Liverpool team. If you unplug Florian Wirtz and put him in a Chelsea team or an Arsenal team, you see what quality is made of. Yeah. But the problem is, even the ones that we think are playing well, they have not really explored. They have not really done too many things for Liverpool. Dominic Szoboszlai has not really done much. He's way better than what we are seeing in that team.
Mo Salah this season.
Mo Salah, this season, it's been, one game on, another game off. What is causing it? Is it the player? Is it the technical approach of the coach? Is it, what exactly would the problem be? You really cannot tell. But what exactly is happening? Is this the Liverpool of last season? But then, we cannot rule out the fact that some of these players are aging. Virgil van Dijk, yes, whether you like it or not, a day will come, you will have to sit on the bench. Konate has not been his best this season. He's made a few awful errors. He's had some awful games. Yes, and he's still in the team. He's a regular starter in the team. Liverpool had to part ways with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Diogo Jota passed away. They had to lose Lucho to Bayern Munich. I'm talking about, I want to remember his name. Luis Diaz had to go to Bayern Munich. They lost some players too. Some of them left the team.
Darwin Núñez.
Darwin Núñez also left. So these are players that were instrumental in how they won the league last season. For example, for me, I don't have allowed from when he got there to when he left. It was on 30,000 weekly wages. And people were thinking, oh, as good as this player, unfortunately, wasn't earning that much. So when people say Arsenal don't pay, I think Arsenal still pays more than some teams.
I agree.
And Liverpool, I think it's just in the last 3 or 4 years that they started, paying high prices when the arrival of players like Mo Salah and some other players, big names in the team, they needed to keep those players. And just after the departure of Brendan Rodgers, they needed to upgrade a little bit. And that's the departure of Brendan Rodgers, they needed to upgrade a little bit. And that's why they are where they are right now. But against teams like Sunderland, they would always struggle. I said it here yesterday, but I don't see them defeating Sunderland. So. Sunderland was able to defeat Chelsea. It showed Chelsea what they are capable of doing, and they have shown every other team in the league this season. Even if you are going to get past us, you will sweat for it. I mean, how much when you are bringing same energy against a team that is struggling in the league? I mean, I feel like Liverpool were lucky. Liverpool were lucky to actually get a draw from this game. Otherwise, this could have been easy 3 points for Sunderland.
All right, let's look at quickly. Let's look at all the games that happened. I would have loved us to have the table, but because of our time, we can't discuss the table. But we'll discuss that tomorrow on the show. But just look at. All right, my producer just want us to talk about it. Arsenal, Manchester City, Aston Villa, Chelsea. There you have Chelsea. If Chelsea had won that game, it would be already a big fight, already to contend ahead of Arsenal and Manchester City. But you have Sunderland, you have Brighton, you have Liverpool, you have Manchester United. We have a game today. We have Everton sitting on the table. There you have it. Wolverhampton Wanderers is going to be a major discussion tomorrow. Samson Balogun, I'm sure by tomorrow, Samson would let us know if Wolverhampton Wanderers will relegate this season, because you already said it for Kano Pillars, but I would need your update on Wolverhampton Wanderers also tomorrow. West Ham are going to have a game against Manchester United tonight. Quickly, let's look at all that games before we talk about the last game tonight. That's Manchester United against West Ham. Something about Kylian Mbappe is a man in form. You need to look at the fantastic goals he scored yesterday. And this is a good form. 30 goals already this season in all competition for himself, and he's putting himself on the map for contention for the Ballon d'Or. I know it's too early to talk about that, but this man is putting Liverpool yet again, giving them all 3 points yesterday. A brace, Camavinga also getting a goal. Yes, let's talk about Madrid quickly.
Well, for Real Madrid, they have also shown their fair share of inconsistency this season. Over the weekend, they got a draw, and yesterday they were able to win. I think they needed to be a little bit more consistent. It helps the players too. Kylian Mbappe has rose to the occasion, has risen to the occasion a few times this season, getting the needed goals for Real Madrid. And just like you said, when we talk about the Ballon d'Or, it starts from when a fresh one has been done. Yeah. There's a winner, then you start. The calendar starts ticking, and you start again. But for me, I think out of the players we have around who are in that space to contend for, who contest for the Ballon d'Or, I think we only have Alan, we have Kylian Mbappe, maybe the two for now. They have been outstanding. Yeah. So it's now the level of consistency and continuity that will matter. So by the end of the season, what really matters is how many goals have you scored as an individual? What is your contribution to your team, and what trophies did your team win during that period? So let's see if Real Madrid can actually win some titles. Kylian Mbappe exceptional till the end of the season,
the World Cup also
barring any form of injuries, and then at the World Cup he can at least show one or two things with France and see exactly where he positions himself come the end of the season.
All right, that game ended right there, 3-0 for against Athletic Club. But quickly, Sans Balogun, Manchester United, we're wrapping up the show. Manchester United against West Ham. What's your prediction, and how do you see Ruben Amorim and also Nuno Espirito Santo set up his team against Manchester United?
Well, Manchester United is a team that is destined to struggle against some teams that play some kind of way. For West Ham United, they are also coming back from their bad start to the season. They started the season the same way with Wolverhampton Wanderers, but one way or the other, they got past it. They are doing way better than Wolverhampton Wanderers right now. And I think they are going to give Manchester United a run for their money. But the problem now is some of their key players are not available. Lucas Paqueta got red-carded over the weekend. An important player, important component of the team. And that might just be one of the reasons they are going to lose the game to Manchester United. But I see Manchester United getting at least a point from that game.
All right, that's all we can take on the show this wonderful morning. So make sure you drop your comment ahead of that game tonight between Manchester United and West Ham. Let me inform you that Matheus Cunha is back, and also, we don't know if he's going to start. Also, Bruno Fernandes, we got a report that he got a knock, but most likely he should start that game for Manchester United. That's all we can take. A big thank you to my producer and also to the crew and everyone that make sure Dominion Sport remains global. We're going to say again tomorrow. Thank God it's Friday edition of Dominion Sport. I remain Paul Abetoluwanimi. A big thank you to the expert analyst himself, Samson Balogun. Thank you for all you do. We're going to say again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Stay blessed, and bye for now.